Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Force of Flow. Before I get into the episode, I'd like to take care of some administrative things. First and foremost, a lot of these will be raw and uncut. And number two, you never know where inspiration will hit, so sometimes I'll be behind my desk, other times maybe in a cafe drinking a coffee. It could even be that I'm taking a walk in the woods. But it doesn't matter where I am, the thoughts are flowing, and I will share them then with you. So back to this episode, there are two topics I'd like to talk to you about today. Number one is my awakening, and number two is emotional intelligence. So I'll get right to it. The awakening I had was back in 2018. I was working at JP Morgan Chase, and I had a woman boss who was not just my boss, she was a mentor and became a good friend. But I didn't know what I had until I moved to Germany in 2020 and started surrounding myself with all sorts of women in leadership positions, in executive positions, and I saw what I was missing. And I saw what was missing in society, in German economy, in politics, in business, and it didn't matter where I was looking, there were gaps. So I'd like to go back to 2018. I was an agile coach. I had a woman boss who also had a woman boss, and it just trickled down. And the environment that she gave me, not only to be who I was, but it was also an environment that was perfect for learning and developing myself and actually reaching my full potential. She understood the needs to actually give her employees space, to teach them, to give them feedback, to assist with roadblocks, just to be present in the moment and also guide us along our own individual journeys. Also, during that time, there was and is still a woman who has her own company called Executive Elements. And what she does is she builds women leaders. And I was very inspired by this because I got to be coached and trained by her a bit in a time of my life where I was looking for direction. And through the questions that she posed, I was able to unleash a whole new awareness and realize the steps I wanted to take to becoming the leader I am today. So fast forward again to 2020. Those women that I surrounded myself with were women doctors, women in tech, women in banks, women in healthcare, insurance. And the one thing that kept repeating itself was they felt that there was a gap and a need to minimize the gap of gender equality. And through their stories, those topics of gender equality, women in leadership, women executives, or the lack of, became a focal point for me. And I realized what better way to discuss this than creating a podcast, hopefully reaching people who are confronted with these topics on a daily basis. When it comes to emotional intelligence, in Bruce Schneider's book, The 7-Level Framework for Mastery in Life and Business, he also goes on to say that in order to be a good and effective leader, you have to have a certain level of emotional intelligence. And how interesting is that emotional intelligence is considered to be a strength for many, many women, and they score higher in emotional intelligence tests. Also in his book, he goes on to say how important it is to be able to choose how to express yourself at any given moment, and that you are in control of how you respond instead of reacting to how something makes you feel. And it gives you the power to be present a certain way in a certain situation. Let me tell you about a certain situation I was facing. Something that I observed was a leadership round. And in this leadership round, you had female as well as male leaders. The females were very diplomatic. They chose their words wisely, and they discussed the topics and the arguments in a very calm and controlled fashion. On the other side were the males, and individuals would address the same argument, the same topic, but their approach was quite different. And their reaction was much more emotion driven, was very aggressive. But in the end, they were rewarded for that. That was accepted. And all in all, these people then got promoted. So where does that leave you as a woman? It's not personal, it's just business. How can you even say that? Isn't it true that everything we do has a certain emotion attached to that? And if there isn't, doesn't it show perhaps a lack of passion, a lack of commitment, a lack of engagement? And if you see it from a male perspective, if you are aggressive and powerful and ambitious, these are very much looked at as positive traits. But there seems to be this double standard. How can we minimize that double standard? How can we address this in the moment, in leadership meetings? I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings around this. Have any of you guys experienced something similar? Love to hear from you. Love to hear your feedback. Thank you all for joining The Force of Flow. And until the next time, bye-bye.